My foster parents abused me for 10 years. I became a judge and sent them to prison. When I was years old, I was placed in foster care. My foster parents locked me in a basement, starved me, beat me for 10 years. I reported them dozens of times. The system failed me, so I survived. I fought. I went to law school. I became a judge. And 20 years later, they stood in my courtroom as defendants. I looked them in the eyes and said, "You told me I'd never amount to anything today. I'm sentencing you to 15 years in prison justice and served." My name is Maya Chen. I'm 42 years old. I'm a district court judge in Seattle, Washington. But I wasn't always a judge. 20 years ago, I was nobody. I was nothing. I was a broken 18 years old girl, aging out of the foster care system with no family, no money, and no future. This is the story of how I got from there to here, and how the people who destroyed my childhood ended up in prison. Let me start at the beginning. I was born 1982 in Portland, Oregon. My biological mother was a drug addict. She overdosed when I was 6 years old. I have no memory of my father. He was never in the picture. When my mother died, I entered the foster care system. I was 6 years old, scared and alone. For 2 years, I bounced between foster homes. Some were okay, some were bad. None of them wanted to keep me permanently. And then in 1990, when I was 8 years old, I was placed with Richard and Carol Johnson. They lived in a big house in suburbs, 4 bedrooms, nice neighborhood. They seemed perfect. The social worker told me, "Maya, you're so lucky. The Johnsons are wonderful people. They are going to take such a good care for you." I believed her. That was my first mistake, the abuse. The Johnsons didn't want me because they care about children. They wanted me for the money. In 1990, foster parents in Oregon received about $3,000 per month for each foster child. The Johnsons had 6 foster children in their home. 6 children, $18,000 per month, tax-free. That's $216,000 per year. And they spent almost none of it on us. The first week I was there, I learned the rule. Rule 1. Don't ask for food between meals. There were no snacks. Breakfast was at 7 a.m., lunch at noon, dinner at 6 p.m. If you were hungry outside those times, too bad. Rule 2. Don't talk back. Ever. If you disagreed with the Johnsons, you were punished. Rule 3. Don't tell anyone what happens in this house. The punishments started small. Time out, early bedtimes, loss of privileges. But they escalated. When I was 9, I accidentally broke a glass while washing dishes. Carol Johnson grabbed me by the hair and dragged me to the basement. "You're clumsy and useless," she hissed. "You're going to sit down here until you learn to be more careful." She locked the basement door. I sat in the dark for 6 hours. That became the standard punishment. The basement, cold, dark, concrete floor, no windows, a single light bulb that they controlled from upstairs. Sometimes I was down there for a few hours, sometimes overnight. Once, when I was 10, I was locked in the basement for 3 days. My crime? I got a C on a math test. 3 days. No bed, no bathroom, just a bucket of the corner. I missed school those 3 days. When I came back, my teacher asked why I was absent. I lied. I was sick. Because I terrified of what would happen if I told the truth. The physical abuse got worse as I got older. Richard Johnson held the bed, a thick leather belt. When we misbehaved, and misbehaving could be anything from talking too loud to forgetting to make our beds, he would make us line up. "Hold out your hands," he'd say. Then hit our palms with the belt, hard 5 times, 10 times, until our hands were red and swollen. I couldn't hold a pencil properly 4 days after those punishments. The other 5 foster children, they were all terrified too. We didn't talk about it. We just tried to survive. Food was scarce. Breakfast was usually a piece of toast. Lunch was a peanut butter sandwich. Dinner was whatever the Johnsons made, but we got small portions. Meanwhile, the Johnsons ate well: steak, pizza, ice cream. We watched them eat while our stomachs growled. I was constantly hungry, always cold, always scared, and I had nowhere to go. I tried to get help, I really did. When I was 11, I told my teacher, Miss Patterson, about the basement punishments. Miss Patterson's face went pale. "Maya, that's not okay. I'm going to report this." She called Child Protective Services. 2 days later, a social worker came to the Johnsons' house. Her name was Miss Garcia. They interviewed me privately in the living room while the Johnsons waited in the kitchen. "Maya, your teacher says you've been locked in a basement. Is that true?" I nodded, terrified. The Johnsons had warned me the morning. "If you tell lies about us, you'll regret it." "Can you show me the basement?" Miss Garcia asked. We went downstairs. It was a normal-looking basement, clean. No evidence of what they did to us. Miss Garcia looked around. "Maya, this doesn't look like a place where someone would be locked up. Are you sure? You're not exaggerating." "No, they lock us down here for hours, sometimes days," Miss Garcia sighed. "Honey, I know being in a foster care is hard. Sometimes kids make up stories because they're unhappy. But the Johnsons are good people. They've fostered over 20 children over the years." She didn't believe me. The report was closed, unfounded. After Miss Garcia left, Carol Johnson grabbed my arm so hard it bruised. "You little liar. You tried to ruin us. You're going to the basement for a week. A week, 7 days." I was 11 years old. That was the first time I reported them, but not the last. Over the next 7 years, I reported to Johnson's 11 times, to teachers, to school counselors, to social workers, to a doctor when I went in for a checkup with bruises. Every single time they investigated, and every single time they found nothing. The Johnsons were smart. They knew how to hide it. They knew what to say. They knew how to make us look like we were lying. "Maya is not troubled child," Richard would say. "She acts out. She makes up stories for attention. We're doing our best with her, but she's difficult." And the system believed them, not us. By the time I was 16, I stopped reporting. What was the point? No one believed me. No one cared. I just had to survive until I was 18. Then I could have lived 2 more years. I counted down the days. On my 18th birthday, March 15th, 2000, I aged out of the foster care system. The state no longer had responsibility for me. I was legally an adult. The Johnsons didn't throw me a party. They didn't even say goodbye. Carol Johnson just handed me a garbage bag with my few belongings and said, "You're 18 now. Time to leave. Good luck. You'll need it." I walked out of the house with everything I owned: a trash bag. I had 3 outfits, a broken backpack, my high school diploma. I graduated early, mostly to get out that house faster. $47 in cash, no car, no job, no family, nowhere to go. I slept in a homeless shelter that night. The next morning, I went to the public library. I needed to figure out what to do with my life. I had no plan, no support, no guidance. Most kids aging out of foster care ended up homeless, addicted, or in prison. I read the statistics. 60% homeless within a year, 80% don't finish college. I was determined not to be a statistic, but I didn't know how. At the library, I met a woman named Dorothy. She was a librarian. She saw me sitting at the computer, looking lost. "Can I help you find something, honey?" I broke down. Right there in the library, told her everything. The foster care, the abuse, the fact that I had nowhere to go. Dorothy listened, and then she said something that changed my life. "You survived 10 years with those people. You're stronger than you know, and I'm going to help you." Dorothy became my guardian angel. She connected me with a program for former foster youth. They helped me get a job at McDonald's, a shared apartment with 2 roommates, enrollment in community college. For the first time in my life, I was free, broke, working minimum wage, living paycheck to paycheck, but free. I worked in McDonald's full-time and went to the Portland Community College part-time. It took me 4 years to get my associate degree. Most people do it in 2, but I could only afford 1 or 2 classes per semester. In 2004, I transferred to Portland State University. I majored in political science. Why? Because I wanted to understand the system that failed me. I wanted to know how laws worked, how the government worked, how the foster care system worked. I worked 3 jobs while going to school: morning shift at Starbucks, classes, evening restaurant, study, and sleep. I slept 4.5 hours at night for 3 years, but I graduated in 2007 with honors. At graduation, I sat alone in my audience, no family, no friends, just me. But I didn't care. I had survived. I had thrived. After graduation, I worked as a paralegal at a law firm. The attorneys, they encouraged me. Maya, you should go to law school. You'd make a great lawyer. Law school, I'd never even considered it. It seemed impossible, too expensive, too hard. But I applied anyway. I got into Lewis and Clark Law School in Portland with a full scholarship. Someone believed in me. Law school was hell, but I survived worse. After the Johnson's Law School, but nothing. I graduated in 2010, passed the bar exam on my first try, and became an attorney. I spent 5 years in a public defender, defending people who couldn't afford attorneys. I saw the system from inside, and I hated what I saw. So many of my clients were former foster kids, abused, neglected, failed by the system, now in prison because no one ever helped them. I won a lot of cases, made a name for myself. In 2015, a position opened up for a judge in family court. I applied. I was 33 years old. Most judges are their 50s, but I had the story, and the governor believed in me. I was appointed as a family court judge. The kid who was locked in basements, who was told she'd never amount to anything, who had everything against her. I was now a judge. I wore the black robe, I sat the bench, and made decisions that affected families, children, futures, and I made in my mission to protect children in the foster care system. I ruled harshly against abusive foster parents. I removed children from unsafe homes. I held social workers accountable when they failed kids. I became known as the tallest family court judge in Oregon. Some people didn't like that, but I didn't care. I had power now, and I was going to use it to protect children like me. For 3 years, I presided over family court, hundreds of cases, thousands of children. And then in 2018, something happened that I never expected. October 15th, 2018, a regular Monday morning in my courtroom, I was reviewing the day's docket when I saw 2 names that made my blood run cold. State of Oregon with Richard and Carol Johnson. Charges: child abuse, multiple counts. Child neglect, multiple counts, fraud. Richard and Carol Johnson, my foster parents. They were being prosecuted for child abuse. I immediately called my clerk. Get me the case file now. I read through it, hands shaking. In 2017, a former foster child named Timothy, who had been placed with the Johnsons after I left, had reported them to police. Timothy had saved text message, photo of bruises, medical records showing untreated injuries. This time the police believed him. The investigative found 4 other former foster children willing to testify, including one girl who had been locked in the same basement I knew so well. The Johnsons were arrested in January 2018. And now 10 months later, the case was scheduled for trial in my courtroom. I started at the case file. The memories came floating back. The basement, the hunger, the belt, the fear. I had two options. Option 1, recuse myself, step away from the case due to conflict of interest. Let another judge handle it. Option 2, declare my history with the defendants and allow both sides to object if they wanted a different judge. I choose option 2. The trial began on October 22nd, 2018. Before we started, I made an announcement. Before we proceed, I need to disclose something to both parties. I was a foster child in the defendant's home from 1990 to 2000. I experienced conditions similar to those at this case. I have made this disclosure in the interest of transparency. Both the prosecution and defense may move to have me rescued if you believe I cannot be impartial. The courtroom went silent. Richard and Carol Johnson stared at me. Their faces went white. They didn't recognize me at first. I was 8 when they got me, 18 when I left. Now I was 36. My last name had changed when I was adopted as an adult by Dorothy, the librarian. But as I spoke, realization dawned on their faces. The defense attorney stood. Your Honor, we move for recusal. You clearly have bias. I cut him off. Your motion is noted and denied. I'm capable of being impartial. However, I will not be the trier of the fact of these cases. There will be a jury. I'm merely presiding over the proceedings. If at any point either party believes I'm showing bias, you may appeal, but I'm not recusing myself. The defense attorney knew he couldn't win. If he appealed, it would just delay the trial. The trial proceeded. Over 3 weeks, I heard testimony from 5 former foster children. Timothy, now 25, testified about blood locked in the basement for days, about being hit with a belt, about going to school hungry. Sarah, now 30, testified about being denied medical care when she broke her wrist. The Johnsons didn't want to spend the money to take her to a hospital. Kevin, now 28, testified about being forced to sleep outside in winter as punishment for wetting in the bed. And Jessica, now 22, testified about the same basement I knew, the same concrete floor, the same bug in the corner. Every word they say I had experienced. The prosecution presented evidence. Medical records showing untreated injuries. School records showing absence with suspicious explanations. School records showing absence with suspicious explanations. Financial records showing the Johnsons received $3,000 per month per child but spent less than $500 per month on all 6 children combined. Bank statements showing luxury purchases, vacations, jewelry, expensive cars, while foster children went without basic necessities. The defense tried to claim the children were lying, that they were troubled kids making up stories. But there were too many of us, too many consistent stories, too much evidence. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. Sentencing was scheduled for December 3, 2018. As the judge, I would determine the sentence within the statutory guidelines. For the crimes they were convicted of, the Johnsons faced anywhere from probation to 20 years in prison. I could be lenient. I could be harsh. Before sentencing, victims are allowed to give impact statements. 4 former foster children gave statements. They talked about the trauma, their nightmares, the therapy, the difficulty trusting anyone. And then I did something unusual. I asked the court recorder to pause the official record. I'm going to speak now, not as a judge, but as a victim, I said. I took off my robe, stepped down from the bench, stood at the podium where witnesses testify. My name is Maya Chen, but when I lived with Richard and Carol Johnson, my name was Maya Rodriguez. I was placed in their home when I was 8 years old. I stayed for 10 years. During those 10 years, I was locked in a basement dozens of times. I was hit with a belt until my hands bled. I was starved. I was told I was worthless. I was told I would never amount to anything. I reported the abuse 11 times to teachers, to social workers, to doctors. No one believed me. I survived because I had no other choice. I survived because something inside me refused to let them break up. When I turned 18, Carol Johnson handed me a trash bag with my belongings and said, "Good luck, you'll need it." She was right. I did need luck, but I also needed strength and determination and people like Dorothy the librarian who helped me when I had nothing. I worked 3 jobs to get through college. I went to law school. I became an attorney and then I became a judge. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to protect other children from people like you. Today I stand before you not as a victim, but as a survivor and as a judge. You told me I was worthless. You told me I would fail. You were wrong. I stepped back behind the bench, put my robe back on. Richard and Carol Johnson, you have been found guilty of 9 counts of child abuse, 7 counts of child neglect, and 4 counts of fraud. You exploited vulnerable children for financial gain. You caused immeasurable harm to children who had already suffered trauma. The law allows to sentence you to up to 20 years in prison per count. I could run this sentence consecutively, which would mean life in prison. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sentence you to 15 years in prison, to be served concurrently, with possibility of parole after 10 years. Why? Not because you deserve mercy, but because these children deserve closure. They deserve to move on with their lives without spending decades watching your appeals. 15 years more than enough time for you to understand what you did. And when you get out, if you get out, you will be registered as a child abuser. You will never be allowed near children again. This court is adjourned. I benched the travel. Richard and Carol Johnson were led away in handcuffs. They are currently serving their sentence at Oregon State Penitentiary. They'll be eligible for parole in 2028. They'll be in their 80s, but I don't think about them anymore because they don't matter. What matters is the children we saved. After the Johnsons were sentenced, something unexpected happened. Media covered the story. Former foster child becomes judge, sentenced abusive foster parents. It went viral. National news, CNN, ABC, CBS. My phone exploded with messages. Hundreds of former foster children reached out. I went to the same thing. No one believed me either. Thank you for speaking up. I realized this isn't just about the Johnsons. This is the system. So I did what do I best. I fought. In 2019, I worked with state legislators to pass new laws. The Foster Care Accountability Act of 2019. Mandatory announcement home inspections every 90 days. Independent reporting hotline for foster children, not through social workers. Criminal background checks expanded to include anyone living in foster home. Financial audits of how foster parents spend stipends. Mandatory trauma-informed training for social workers. Increased penalties for foster parents' abuse. The law passed unusually. I also created a non-profit, the Maya Chen Foundation for Foster Youth. Our mission: provide free legal representation for former foster children in abuse cases, scholarship programs for foster youth going to college, advocacy training for young people aging out of care, emergency housing for youth aging out with nowhere to go. Since 2019, we've helped over 800 former foster children. We've put 23 abusive foster parents in prison. We've given out 150 college scholarships. We've housed 200 youth who aged out with nowhere to go. And we're just getting started. I'm still a judge. But now I also spend my evenings and weekends running to the foundation because I remember what it was like to be 8 years old, terrified and alone. I remember what it was like to report abuse and had no one believe me. I remember what it was like to age out with $47 and a trash bag. And I'm making damn sure that no other child has to go do what I went through. If you're listening to this and you're in foster care right now, or you were in foster care, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not worthless. You are not defined by what was done to you. I know it feels impossible right now. I know you feel alone. I know you feel like no one believes you cares about you. But I'm telling you, you can survive this. You can thrive. It won't be easy. I won't lie to you. It will be the hardest thing you ever do. But you are stronger than you know. I was you. I was the kid locked in a basement. The kid no one believed. The kid with no future. And today I'm a judge, I'm a lawyer, I'm an advocate, I'm a survivor, and so are you. To everyone else listening, the foster care system is broken. Right now, there are 400,000 children in foster care in America. Many of them are being abused, and when they report it, they not believe. We need to do better. If you work in child services, believe children when they say report abuse. Investigate thoroughly. Don't close cases just because foster parents seem nice. If you're a teacher or doctor, report suspected abuse. Don't assume someone else will handle it. If you're a legislator, fund the foster care system properly. These children deserve better. And if you're a former foster youth, know that you're not alone. There are people fighting for you, including me. The Johnsons they broke me. But they made me stronger, and now I use strength to protect other children. That's justice. This is Justice Sunday, where survivors become victors, where the abused become advocates, where the powerless become powerful. If the story inspired you, share it. Someone needs to hear it. Thank you for watching Hidden Face Stories this week. Tomorrow we start a new week with a new story. Remember, your past does not define your future. You define your future. See you tomorrow.